Reuters is reporting China is ready to use rare earth exports as a bargaining chip in the ongoing dispute. They are threatening not to export these any longer to the United States. These are needed for certain chemicals. It comes as China's latest round of tariffs on $60 billion worth of U.S. goods is set to go into effect this Saturday, June 1. The Treasury Department, meanwhile, also declined to label China a currency manipulator, though the Trump administration says it will keep them on a list of countries whose trade surpluses are closely tracked. China technology company Huawei now is looking for a quick overturn of the new law that restricts the company from doing business in the U.S. I sat down for an exclusive interview with the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, yesterday. We covered it all and more. Watch. What are the implications of no trade deal with China? Do the two largest economies have to have a partnership?
We may or may not get a deal. I couldn't tell you the answer to that. Much will turn on whether China is prepared to do what President Trump has asked them to do. It's pretty simple, right? Fair, reciprocal, a set of trading rules that apply to both countries. President Trump is perfectly prepared to allow American companies to compete against Chinese companies, but he's not prepared to allow them to continue to steal our intellectual property, force American businesses to transfer their technology. He's not prepared to allow them to put tariffs on American goods when there aren't any tariffs on their goods coming into our country. I hope that there's a deal. I hope there's an arrangement that will work to the benefit of each of our two countries. But if there's not, I'm very convinced the American economy will continue to grow.
Should we be worried about them lashing out at the United States? I mean, now we know that China is considering U.S. rare earth export curbs, these rare earth that are 17 chemical elements used in high-tech consumer equipment. There was a story recently the Chinese have taken all their panda bears. I mean, this is sort of, opening up into consumerism and where people can understand what this means, that China may stop the exporting of important chemicals that the U.S. needs.
I always, when I hear these concerns, these worries, I'm always reminded that the American people have lost and suffered for decades under the current rules. So there's somehow this idea that President Trump's decision to push back against China caused problems for the American economy, when in fact the challenges have been the fact that the Chinese were in a trade war with us a long time ago. We're simply trying to get back to fair, to reasonable, to reciprocal, to transparent. That's the president's mission.
This fight with Huawei is getting worse. The chairman of Huawei over the weekend gave an interview basically saying, I'm not going to take the president's call if he calls me. We don't need the United States. There's real espionage that's going on, isn't there?
So Huawei is an instrument of the Chinese government. They're deeply connected. It's something that's hard for Americans to understand. Our companies cooperate with the United States government. That is, they comply with our laws. But no president directs an American private company. That's very different in China. They just simply operate under a different set of rules.
Can you talk us through the massive risks that exist today in terms of China and the U.S.'s national security?
When you think about risk from a military perspective, it's all about capacity and intent. That is, what do they have the ability to do, and what is it they seek to do? And we're concerned on both fronts. We've watched President Xi make a commitment that said he wouldn't go to the South China Sea and build out militarily, and yet he's done so. We've watched them engage in a very significant arms buildup, not only in the quantity of arms, but in their lethality, their capability, and their capacity. And so on both fronts, it's something that America needs to make sure that we do all we can to ensure that we stay in a posture where we can deter this threat, so that we don't ever have to send our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines to a war. I can't imagine that happening amongst these two superpowers. It's our job at the State Department to make sure we never put America in that position.